Hey you guys, so in this video, I'm going to show you the top 5 reasons why people like to invest in mobile home parks and specifically why I like to invest in them. So let's get right into it. The first and obvious one is that it's affordable housing. Now, there's always going to be a demand for affordable housing, and especially right now as we have bad inflation and that is increasing the rent prices across the nation, rent is getting very, very expensive. And so as this goes on, as this continues to happen, more and more people are going to be looking for more cost-effective solutions, and mobile home parks is an avenue and a route for some people. And so when you have that, when you have affordable housing, increasing rent prices, you are going to have a consistent demand in this asset class, and that's why I like it, because you're going to have very low vacancy rates and you're going to always have a demand for this type of housing. Now, the second reason why is because of the low tenant turnover. Now, it kind of plays into number one, but low tenant turnover means as a landlord, as an investor, that sometimes your biggest expense is when you turn over a unit from the previous tenant to a new tenant. It's called a make ready or a turn or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes as a landlord, that's your biggest expense. And especially in this case, in my experience, turning over a unit can be very expensive and sometimes is your biggest expense throughout the year. Now, when it comes to mobile home park investing, a lot of these tenants are going to own their own mobile home. And so what that does is that actually creates a sense of community inside of the community that you own. And these people are less likely to move when they own their own trailer or their own mobile home, right? So sometimes there's park-owned homes where you actually own the mobile and then rent it out to them, similarly to like an apartment complex. But when they actually own their own mobile home, it creates a sticky tenant, like we like to call it, a tenant that lasts, a tenant that wants to be there long-term, and is happy long-term and good for the community overall. So the third reason is probably my favorite reason, and it is the high cash flow and high returns to investors. And this is originally what attracts a lot of people into the asset class. This is what drove me to the asset class, was looking for bigger and better returns long-term when you're doing long-term holds. And the reason why mobile home parks cash flow so much is because the operational expenses are usually pretty low and they're relatively easy to operate. And you have really good, stable, long-term tenants for the most part. And when done properly and operated properly, these can really cash flow a lot, especially compared to the multifamily space, Airbnb, co-living, multifamily, self-storage. I really think mobile home parks blow everybody out of the water when it comes to cash flow. Now, there's an argument for long-term equity growth, but again, if you operate these efficiently, you can actually have a pretty substantial equity growth as well alongside of the cash flow. So that's the third reason and probably my favorite reason out of these 5. So the fourth reason is they're basically recession proof. Now, they've done a lot of data and studies on this, and in the last 4 economic downturns, they've looked at all asset classes, and mobile home parks have outperformed every single real estate asset class since they started the study. So I think that's pretty impressive in my opinion. And what it shows is that it's just a good, stable, solid, long-term asset class that I would like to hold. And they're not building anymore, so the demand is always going to be there. And so when you have an increasing demand with low supply, that's very attractive to an investor, and I like that a lot. And the fifth and final reason is the diversity of the revenue streams. So this is not like an apartment complex where you buy an apartment complex, you have 10 or 20 units or 30 or 50 or whatever it is, and you just simply rent out the units and collect cash flow that way. With mobile home parks, it's a little bit different. There's 2 asset classes inside the mobile home park realm, and one being charging lot rent and 2 being charging home rent or park-owned home rent. So when you have multiple different revenue streams, there's ways to where you can maximize that by either selling off some of the mobiles to the tenants. So now that they're tenant owned, then you can charge them a lot rent, or if you just charge lot rent itself and then bring in new mobiles and then rent those out. There's multiple different revenue streams in there. You can also bill back the utilities to the tenants. There's a ton of different revenue streams within this asset class, and that's why I really like it, and that's why they're really profitable long term. And again, that is the fifth reason. There's so much to get into with all of these reasons, but I'm going to make it a very short video today. And again, if you have any questions about the mobile home park industry or just any questions about me or my real estate journey in general, make sure to comment below. Thanks for watching the video, you guys, and follow along for more. Hit subscribe, and look forward to talking with you guys soon. Thanks so much.